Hello everyone, welcome back to a new tutorial. In this tutorial, we will learn how to monitor the growth in children or babies using the percentile curve or the growth curve. So, by the end of this tutorial, you guys will be able to measure the growth of children using the percentile curve. First of all, when monitoring the growth of children or measuring their growth, we take into consideration two main variables. The first one is the height or the length, and the second one is the weight or the mass, and it is usually recorded at birth. However, how can we measure this growth? We measure it usually by using what is called the percentile curve or the growth curve, which you guys are looking to right now. However, how can we read this graph? The first thing which you need to know, guys, is that this graph is a percentile growth curves for UK baby boys from 2 weeks to 1 year, measuring their mass or weight. As you guys can see, this graph includes series of graph curves or percentiles. For example, the 99.6th, the 98th, the 75th, the 50th, 0.4th, etc. Notably, anything between the first and the last curve or the first and the last band is considered normal, and anything above the first point, anything above the 99.6 or anything below the 0.4 is considered abnormal. So we will come to this point after a while. We will explain in details how can we detect if the baby's growth or the growth rate is normal or abnormal. So before we start discussing how can we read the graph in details, it's good to know the purpose of all these curves or bands. These curves or bands in blue, which you guys can see, allow to compare how well the baby is growing in comparison to others of the same age. And when we say how well the baby is growing, it means we will be monitoring the change in values after every visit to the doctor or after every month. For example, at the age of 1 month, a baby's growth rate might start here on the 4th line. The 4th line actually represents the 25th band or the 25th curve. A baby at this point, at the age of 1 month, will have a mass of 4 kilograms. This means that 25% of the babies in this age, at the age of 1, will probably have a mass of 4. This is the way how we read the band or the curve. Similarly, at the age of 1, if the baby started here on the 5th line or the 5th curve, which is actually the 50th, it means that 50% of the babies in this age will probably have a mass of 4.5. How can we say if the growth of this baby is normal or abnormal? If the baby started on the 4th band, which is the 25th, the baby should continue growing around the same curve or the same band. So at the age of 2 months, the baby's growth should be here, on the same, fluctuating around the same curve or nearly the same line. So if the baby continued to grow around the same band, which is the 25th band, it means that the growth or the growth rate of the baby is normal or perfectly normal. But if the baby started here, let's say, and suddenly started to shift outside the normal range, this is considered abnormal. Or if the baby started, let's say, on the 4th band, which is the 25th, and suddenly the baby started to cross over onto different bands and fluctuate outside the normal range, this is also considered abnormal. So for the baby to have a normal growth rate, the baby should fluctuate around the same band or curve. Have a look at this red line. This red line represents the growth rate of a normal baby fluctuating almost around the 98th band or curve. So the growth of this baby is considered normal.